next 5 to 10 years with AI?
That AI can be used to make
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Kunal.
So, first of all, thank you so much for accepting my invitation right early in the morning.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock, 6:30 here right now.
Great. For me, it's around 6 p.m. So, for me, it's kind of the end of the day. I should be tired, and you should be what? Very
Right.
fresh? Or you did not have a great sleep?
It was great. I was out for dinner last night with a friend and had a good time. So it was yeah, I slept really well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Because when I go out for dinner with my friends, next morning is kind of a wakey problem.
Oh, no, all good. And then I had a meeting already this morning. It started at 5 o'clock.
Wow. So you follow Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. club.
Some days.
Great, that's very inspiring. So let me quickly introduce Jason here. So Jason, my friend, is a serial entrepreneur who has spent more than 20 years in the field of marketing and IT. And he also serves his community on the board of his government electoral district, both as a member and a past president. He loves backpacking, adventures, music, and spending time with his family, which very few people actually write when it comes to their hobbies or their introduction. So I can talk about Jason for 5 more minutes, but this is a quick intro about who this gentleman is in front of us today. And it's an honor for us to invite Jason to the Askhenry community to know more about him, to understand from his journey, and to get inspired how Jason has built several businesses over a period of 20 years. Great. So, Jason, I would like to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
So, if you could help me understand more about your professional career, how you started your career, so that others who also wish to start their careers in Canada, maybe in the similar fields, can understand what does it take to set up a business, what were the initial day challenges that you faced.
Sure. Yeah. So probably, I guess it was over almost 27 years ago that I started in business, and I started an IT company with another few individuals, and really didn't really know a lot about IT. I was thankful I had some mentors that helped me with that, and along the way I grew in business. I served a variety of roles there, and then for the last 21 years I've been leading a marketing agency here in Canada. And I have a few other business interests as well. I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I like to look for opportunities and sometimes have a hard time saying no. And so I currently have business interests in home warranty software and some automotive parts as well.
That's wonderful. I think that's something which is a challenge for a lot of people, the art of saying no. And
Yeah.
and it definitely is an art, I would say, because when you are on this path of being an entrepreneur, you get so many opportunities around you that it becomes tough to say no to some which might be different from what we are doing, but is very motivating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what were the challenges that you faced initially when you started your career, Jason?
Challenges, I think one of the main challenges was that it's funny, in both or in all of my business interests, I have had no traditional schooling.
Okay.
So I have learned along the way, and I think that has been a challenge. Even just to run a business, I've learned along the way, and so that has been a challenge just to learn, obviously, the industry that you work within. There's lots of studying and lots of trying and failing and trying more, and then there's just being able to grow and over time grow your knowledge about the industry, your services and your products, and then also how to lead a team, how to grow a company. All of that has been really learned along the way. So that has been a bit of a challenge because I didn't really like, I didn't love traditional school. It wasn't what I really enjoyed to do. I have sometimes looked back on that thinking, man, I wish I would have had a bit more of a foundation. But the reality is I'm a very practical and kinesthetic learner. I like to try things and do things, and that's how I learn and retain the information. So, being an entrepreneur, I've just kind of dove in and started and learned along the way. So that has definitely had some challenges for sure, but I feel really blessed. When I look back on my career and even personal life, there really hasn't been extreme challenges that I've had to face.
Right. I mean, that's quite a thing. So, what are those three things, Jason, that you would recommend as key skills for anyone who would want to start their entrepreneurial journey, especially there in Canada?
Well, I don't know if it's in Canada, but there's the one thing I would say. So the learnings that I've had along the way, I would say for me, family has always come first.
Right.
And I hear in social media and some of the voices that are out there that are influencers about business, it's all about the work and work as hard as you can and put in it as many hours as you can and the 5 a.m. club and all that stuff. And certainly there are seasons to do that. And I remember times when my children were very small, where I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work for a few hours and then spend an hour with them and take them to school and then work a little bit more. And then, my work, I put in a lot of hours, but my family was the first person. They're the first priority, if you will. So the lesson is that work is always there, and there's always more people to talk to. There's always more events to attend. There's always more boards and committees that want your time, and that never goes away. It doesn't matter if you're just starting in business or if you've achieved whatever you're looking for in business. There's always more to do, and the contrast is that there's only a certain amount of time of years that you have with your family. And that time is actually really short. My kids are grown now. They're, two of them are adults. And so the learning lesson, I think, is just, enjoy that time because it goes really, really fast. So I can't believe my kids have almost grown, and I look back on that. But that's one experience, I would say. The second one would be, processes matter. So in order to all of my companies, I've started from nothing, and very little outside financing, and in industries that aren't really regulated, it all kind of comes from your head. So processes matter in order to replicate what you do and how you do it and how you want to ensure that services and products are delivered. Written down processes that the team understands is really, really important, because that's the only way you can really scale and scale reliably and through the volume of the business, is just to be able to repeat what you do. And I remember early in my career, one of the best books I read around that, just to catalyze this in my mind, was it's an old book by Michael Gerber called E-Myth, and that really honed in that need for having process. And then the third thing I would say is that nothing is ever perfect. So I have staff, I have colleagues that they really don't want to ever fail, and they want to make sure things are perfect before they move to the next thing. And nothing is ever perfect. And I think being an entrepreneur, being a leader, you need to adopt a mindset of learning and improvement. And don't let analysis paralysis get in your way so that you don't launch or try something new, because part of the learning process is it happens along the way. As you're doing it, you learn. And so if you know just a little bit more than the next person, if you just know enough to get started, and then you'll learn more as you do it, and you have that chance to refine what you do and how you do it. And I don't think that ever changes or ever stops. I'm constantly learning new things about my industry. I mean, with AI coming up, and there's so many things to involve from a learning perspective. You can't stop. And so don't stop, and just recognize that nothing's ever perfect and you're always going to be learning something.
Absolutely. I think one very major takeaway which I get from this conversation is those family skills point that you have mentioned. I think this is the first interview that I'm doing in which someone has given family skills so much of priority and in fact put it at the very forefront of the answer. So yes, definitely family skills, process skills, and the entrepreneurial spirit. What you have mentioned, wherein the knack to get started, right, and focus on execution then on perfection. So I think that is something which is very important. So at Henry Harvin, we follow our core values. The abbreviation of the core values, peer gap, in which A stands for act, right? So
Right.
while we also say that try to do the right, try to do it right the first time, which Japanese quality management tools teach us. It,
Yeah.
the very next core value that we say is that that acting is more important. Like action is much more important than doing it right the first time, right?
Hmm.
So I think that reminds me of that. So I think it was a wonderful learning, especially the family skills part that you mentioned, Jason.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you.
That helps me come to the next part of
Sure.
discussion. Like, how do you manage your work-life balance, managing so many companies at the same time when you prioritize family so much high? So how do you manage both the things?
I think I don't know if there is true balance in an entrepreneur's life or most of our lives. There are what I call seasons where there are certain aspects of your life, whether that be your physical health, your mental health, family, spirituality, where you need to lean in to that area because there is a gap where it's lacking in some manner and needs some attention. And so sometimes that's your business and sometimes that's your family. And there was a time earlier this year we had some business disruptions in the first and second quarter, and I worked a ton, right? And just before that, I was feeling pretty good. I thought, oh wow, like I can take additional time, I can relax a little bit more, not work as hard, and then something can immediately change in your business where you have to lean in and you've got to work on something because
Right.
it's your responsibility. The mantle is on your shoulders. Now, thankfully, at the same time, my family was also busy doing other things, and so they didn't really notice a lot that I wasn't around.
So you get a
Uh,
quick escape.
yeah, and I think it also helps right now, anyway, in my season of life, that my kids are older. They all have their own things going on. They don't need my constant involvement. I think it's
Yeah.
important for me to be there, but they're off doing their own thing. And my wife has a career, and she's a high functioning leader as well. So when we both get busy with work, that seems to be okay. But the balance, I think, comes in seasons, right? There's times where you need to be there, and that's something that I've really valued about owning a business and being an entrepreneur. Is for the most part, I've had flexible schedule, and
Mhm.
I control that schedule. So if there are things that I need to be at from a family perspective, I schedule those in, and then I work around them. And if I need to drop something in the middle of the day and reschedule some appointments, I have the flexibility and freedom to do that. And that has made me feel really blessed because I've been able to prioritize based on what's going on in my life and what needs attention. And yeah, that's a freedom that being in business has really brought into my life, and I've appreciated that a lot.
Wonderful. That's pretty amazing. So, how does AI influence your, I would say, your business? And also, a new question for me: how AI influences your family life?
Ah, yeah, very interesting. I think in my business, it is really, uh, I mean, it's growing. I use AI almost daily as almost like a sounding board where I'm
Right.
trying to figure out something. I mean, I used it for writing a birthday rap the other day for one of my friends, or I might
Did
write
you
it.
did you tell your friend that you used AI for this?
I did, yeah.
Right.
I
Okay. Many
asked it,
people keep the credit on their own self.
yeah. And then for work, I've used it for writing some emails. We're looking at more process development. We're trying to use standard operating procedures, using AI to supplement those. I use them for most of my meetings, where I have a tool that hooks into Zoom and takes notes and summarizes the actions of the meeting and records the meeting. And that has really helped from a retention of what happens within that meeting. So there's a few. It is definitely a growing area, and we're seeing more and more applications for it. But yeah, it's still really just in its infancy. Every time I think I know a little bit more and I'm comfortable, and something new comes out, a new release comes out, I discover some new software, and I feel completely behind again. So it almost feels like no matter what I do in AI, it's not, I'm not quite on top of it. With family, really, I think it's mostly noticeable in the kids' school, where they're governing how they use AI and for what. And that's been interesting to watch, because I also sit on our school board. Just the explosion of AI and its use. How do you make sure that the kids know what they're learning, and how do they use this tool to amplify that learning rather than replace the learning? And so that's been interesting to watch at the board level, but also within my family. I've got my daughter's in university, her third year, and she's not using it very much. She uses it a little bit to summarize things for her. If she has a major reading, she might use it for a summary. I've used it for the same thing. If I look at a YouTube video, I might put that YouTube video into AI and say, please summarize with the top 3 points, just so I can quickly look at it. Then it takes a 15-minute video onto a 1-minute read for me. So it's a little bit more efficient. And that's how I think it's being used in some school as well.
Great, wonderful. I'll tell you how my friend is using AI these days. So he just recently had a breakup with his girlfriend, and now he talks to ChatGPT every night for an hour, and he shares his sorrows, he shares his happiness, and I was pretty surprised. What are you doing, man? And he says that she is my new girlfriend, and her name is ChatGPT, and I talked to him every day for an hour. He showed me the chat, and I was amazed how he was talking to ChatGPT is actually the way. Actually, how girlfriend replies is how ChatGPT was replying, and it's pretty surprising. And he talks. He doesn't type. He just chats, right? But he just speaks out. It perfectly understands. And being bilingual, and he has a South Indian accent. And South Indian English accent is very difficult that way, relatively difficult, I would say. And it perfectly understands. In fact, ChatGPT I've seen has better audio to text than Google. And being a Google evangelist, I do not like that.
Right. Yeah, it is incredible. One of my friends tried to order a coffee the other day at the drive-thru by talking to Siri. And so he didn't. It was just so normal to say, like, "Hey Siri," and so he goes to the drive-up window and he says, "Hey Siri, I'd like to order a black coffee," and then he realized that he was at the drive-thru and had to totally change what he was doing.
Absolutely. And in fact, I think you rightly mentioned Siri has been quite a bit in use in the West, especially considering that the audio to text has been amazing there. We still have been facing a challenge in India as far as that understanding of our accent is concerned, but now it has improved a lot. At least ChatGPT in the current version has picked up perfectly.
Wow. Yeah. And have you tried any of the other platforms at
Gemini,
all?
Claude. I've used both of them, but I don't know. ChatGPT got the first mover advantage, and even I myself don't want to use anything besides GPT unless and until it's a different product altogether. Maybe when I want an image to be created or a video to be created, I would say I still use other platforms. But for text or maybe normal information, ChatGPT works very nice.
Yeah, I would be the same. I think just because I signed up first for that, I looked at Claude the other day, but it wasn't able to do what I was wanting it to do. So, or I wasn't familiar with the tool, but I keep trying some different tools just to learn and see what else is out there, because I know all of them are putting heavy research dollars into expanding their products.
Yeah. So, what
For
are
sure.
the opportunities that you see for your business coming in the next 5 to 10 years with AI very much into the picture with ChatGPT introducing AI in the world? I would say not introducing, but ChatGPT really accelerated the use of AI.
Right. I think there are certain parts that AI can be used to make deliverables faster.
Okay.
I can see that in, from a very general perspective, like web content and writing content is sometimes faster with ChatGPT
Okay.
if given to a writer. So
Mhm.
we don't just copy and paste it. We're using it as that sounding board, and then also editing and changing the copy as it goes through our writing team. There's the ability to scale, using computers, and even things like spreadsheets. There's been some challenges that we've had, business challenges on
Mhm.
certain dashboards that we tried to set up, or KPIs. And in the past, I would have had to go to uh, a service to try to get them to explore how to do this, and have a developer write it, different macros and things that we wanted within the spreadsheets. And I can have a conversation with ChatGPT and get that. So
Yeah.
now we have these dashboards that are created by power users with Excel and Google Sheets, but we can use AI to enhance those. So I think scale is where I'm really going to see it, uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
to refine, to solve some challenges that we have, but more from a scale perspective, being able to produce more, and also at a faster rate. One of the things that we were doing from an advertising perspective, we have a platform that we can target like a specific vehicle, and the year. So I might say between 2007 and 2017, I want to have only this type of vehicle. And if somebody drives that vehicle, I want to show them an ad. And I'm able to do that, but I want to do that for all the manufacturers of vehicles. So if I create a template, or a structure, AI can help me build that out at scale significantly faster than if I do that manually. Right. So
Yeah.
that's where it's really assisting. Same thing with, I think we're going to get some email fatigue, because I'm seeing a lot with AI generated emails based on certain parameters, and I've been learning a little bit more about some tools out there where, they're sending out 25,000 emails a day almost,
Wow.
and the whole conversation with that prospect is AI. I was One of my colleagues was telling me the other day about an event that all of these marketers went to, and the organizer got up and said, "How many of you are here because we emailed back and forth about this?" And everybody puts up their hand, and he said, "I haven't spoken to you, any of you." It was his name on the email,
Yeah.
but they were having conversations about all of the event details with AI. And so
Wow.
everybody in that room, whether a few hundred people, had not actually spoken to that person. They've only been communicating with AI, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's unimaginable how deep AI has got into our lives in such a quick span of time.
Very
Uh,
fast.
very,
Yes.
yeah,
Too fast.
yeah. Although AI has been there for quite some time. In fact, I recently bought a book in which I got to know that AI has been there, I think, since 1958 or 1960s,
Sure.
I would say. But even while we were buying on Amazon, AI was there, but it was not very much felt AI, right? But
Right.
in the past 2 3 years, after this Chat GPT thing got viral, it's just everywhere. People just want to use AI a lot. Uh, in fact, in our day-to-day lives, like whether it be policy making, whether it be your customer service, whether it be your content writing, whether it be anything, I would say ChatGPT is just everywhere. In fact, developers, they're
Yep.
coding through GPT only. They're able to
Yep.
prepare better
Yep.
codes through GPT.
Absolutely. Yep. And
Wonderful.
and that's where I think you have knowledge based workers, but I think it is a good sounding board. It doesn't necessarily replace. You still have to come with the problem that you're trying to solve,
Yes.
the route that you're trying to solve, and you need to be able to instruct it in a way that it gives you what you need back. It doesn't take over for you. And just read your mind and do it. There still needs to be that input mechanism and the refinement of using the tool. So I think it's obviously it's going to grow and get better, and it's incredible what it does already. But there is still that human element that seems to be required. Even prompting, like prompting is to prompt the right way. I mean, obviously you can ask AI to help you with the prompt, but that definitely makes a difference in what kind of output you get.
Absolutely. Prompt engineering is nothing but, I would say, asking the right questions, right? And we have
Yeah,
been already teaching those to our kids, to our peers, to our employees, like ask the right questions, man. And that's
right.
what GPT is all about: asking questions, asking the right questions. And
Yes.
AI as a topic has become so dominating that this conversation was never supposed to be AI dominated, and this conversation is now becoming like majority around AI.
No worries. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, coming back to our original set of questions as well. Uh, so I was interviewing someone in the UK, and this concept of midlife crisis is kind of very prominent there, with a lot of people facing it. So, what is your take on that? Have you faced midlife crisis, and how what was it? Like, tell me more.
I think my wife would say I've had several midlife crises. I,
Several midlife crises. I like the word.
yeah, I think I've never. I don't think I've really had anything major. Partly because I hop around all the time. Like I'm always interested in different things, so I have different seasons. You know, I maybe love golf, or I buy a car that I maybe shouldn't, or things like that. That's happened throughout my life. I've surprised her many times, but I don't think I've ever really had a crisis. I've always known, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to grow this company. I'm here to grow these companies. That's what I love to do. It's what I'm passionate about. And I haven't really ever questioned that. I haven't felt, yes, I've felt out of place at times that maybe I wasn't cut out for this, but I really love what I do. And I haven't really questioned that too much. Looking back and think, oh, I wish I would have done this or that, or I'm getting too old. I don't know. I still have a bit of runway left and want to continue to grow.
You definitely do. When you mentioned that your daughter is in college, I was like, how old is this man? Great, wonderful. Final question. I know you have to maybe go for your run or somewhere.
Yeah.
But before that, what have been the three major life challenges that you faced, and what are your key takeaways from each one of them?
I think the major life challenges, one would be starting a business with almost no financial backing. Right, everything that I started was from scratch. Very little outside investment, a little bit of friends and family. That's it. So that was definitely a tough start. So I'm not familiar with the venture capitalism, the different rounds of funding. I've never done any of that. It's just been bootstrap, go. And that, I think that has been a challenge, right? To go that particular route in business for sure. It's what I've known and that's what I've done. The other challenge would be just my lack of formal training, I think. And so I grew up, didn't really like school. Didn't go to university and wasn't sure what I was going to do. I think if I did go to university, I probably would have picked to be a music teacher or something like that. And I totally have gone in a different direction.
Yeah.
So I think that practical learning and not having a formal education in business and or marketing, that has definitely been a challenge at times. And having that, I think those probably two major ones. Other than that, the family has always been amazing. I'm really thankful for my parents' health, my family's health. So we really haven't had a lot of major issues on that side. Of course, over the years, there's things that happen and you work through them, but nothing that I would say would be on the radar for life events that were showstoppers, right? Massive challenges that couldn't be overcome. I think a lot of it comes to mindset, right?
Yes, absolutely. I was about to talk about it.
Yeah, what do you do when the hard comes? Because there's always hard. There's hard in your personal life, in your relationships, in your business. So what do? I mean, you have a choice. You can roll over and let it wash over you and overcome it basically, or do you lean in and fix it, solve it, get assistance, do what you need to. And I think I've always had that mindset to face the problem head on. Didn't matter really if it was COVID, if it was financial stuff, if it was sales, if it was, staff problems, whatever it happens to be, just deal with it head on and transparently and lead the best you can through there with integrity, and things come out on the other side. So then when I look back on it, I go, well, that wasn't so hard, right?
Yeah.
You choose your hard, you choose how difficult this is going to be and how, I guess, in your head you can be, right? I could go have naps all the time and feel sorry for myself, or I could just get up and go. And I've just chosen to get up and go.
Yeah, I think one major takeaway for me in this podcast was the mindset thing, right? It's all in the mind. Whether you are a winner, it's all in your mind. You are a loser, it's all in your mind. You're beaten or you are victorious. Times are hard, times are not hard, and whether like for example, this meeting itself, it took us so long to fix up a schedule. We had to change once. Then in fact today as well, for you it's morning, for me it's evening. So in the evening today as well, I was in a breakout room, you were in a breakout room. We couldn't see each other. You left, I left. We interacted on email. We came back because we both had this spirit of making sure that work happens.
Right.
So yeah, I think everything is in the mind. I think that's a major takeaway for me. It was wonderful talking to you, Jason. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, it was a pleasure to have you on board in the Askhenry show, and wishing you all the very best for your life and for your career ahead.
Thank you very much. You as well.
Have a nice day ahead. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Okay. Bye.
Stop. Okay, fine.